think at some point you have to acknowledge that you have an issue. And I think where the bariatric community fails a lot of their patients is they don't stress enough the addiction part of the food. They think if we take 85% of your stomach out, then you're going to be all fixed. But they don't educate you well enough on, okay, you lose all the weight, now what? My goal with this series is the now what. I knew early on that I had to get past the now what. Because if I didn't fix the addiction, I would regain. And I am so incredibly terrified of the regain that I don't want to go back there. And I started researching and learning and doing everything I could to figure this all out. And I am no expert by any means. And I don't want to come off as a know-it-all, because I am not. But one thing I am learning through this process is that our food system is incredibly broken. And what I'm also learning is that the simple things that, if God didn't make it, then I don't want to eat it. Am I perfect at this? Absolutely not. I can't be. I don't live on my own farm yet, so I can't grow my own food. I have to still buy from the grocery store. I don't even have the ability to buy as much from farmers markets yet as I want to. Um, I do want to grow more from grow bags this spring. I've bought some seeds from places like Baker Creek and that kind of stuff. And, as I've quoted Jess from Roots and Refuge so many times, I'm turning my waiting room into a classroom, and I want to learn, and that's very important to me, and that's what I will continue to do. So come along with me on this journey as I learn, and I do everything I can to learn herbalism, to learn about doing what's best for my body. And hopefully I can teach you what I learn, and we can learn more about food and food addiction, and what the food industry, what the pharmaceutical companies are doing to us to make us so incredibly unhealthy and keep us addicted to their products, and make us frankly fat and unhealthy. So what is addiction? Addiction is anything that you use to comfort you, right? It is food, it's alcohol, it's gambling, it's shopping, it's anything that you use to cover pain, loneliness. It can be YouTube. And sometimes it's used a little loosely, but it really can be anything. For a food addict, it can be difficult because we have to have food. You have to have food to survive, right? Because you don't have to have alcohol. You don't have to have drugs. You don't have to have shopping. You don't have to have anything else but food. You have to have, right? You have to have substance in your body to live. So what do you do to combat that? And I've often heard my mom talk about that because she too struggles with food. So that set me on a journey to figure out what it is that we need to do to combat it. And on that, I learned that the food industry uses that against us. Number one culprit, and we all know it. And if you've been struggling for a while, you've already figured it out. What is it, friends? Sugar. It's the number one culprit. And it's in everything. Things that it shouldn't even be in. So I am going to put together a list, and it's going to shock you. The amount of sugar that is in everyday food. And it's in there to keep you addicted. But it's there intentionally. And people joke and they kind of laugh about, oh yeah, I'm addicted to sugar. But if you will start, very simply, start weeding out the obvious things, soda. If you could give up just your sodas, you would be amazed how much better you'll feel. But I know how hard that is to break. My own husband is completely addicted to sodas. And so I stopped buying them for the household. Now, every once in a while, I will let him have one just because. But I know how much worse he feels when he has one. And if, like this weekend, I bought some just for him to have some to take with us to the chili cook-off. He drank 3 of them out of that 6-pack that day. I kid you not. I haven't had a soda in over 2 years. But, you know, if you can make small changes in your life, just cutting out sodas, you don't have to have them. I absolutely promise you. But if you can start making small changes like that, it can do amazing things for you. But the food industry is totally rigged against you. I tell people all the time, if God didn't make it, don't eat it. Absolutely. Processed foods are absolutely loaded. Bread, processed bread, anything. But there is a whole list of things that you look at it, and it has code names for sugar in it that is just crazy. Start doing some research on it and learn the code names for sugar. It's just going to blow you away. And I say all that because the food industry right now, my friends, is set up to make you a food addict. Because if you're not one, but if you have, like myself, that addictive gene, so to speak, they're banking on it. The food industry is banking on you being an addict. And the bariatric industry they don't educate you well on that. So if you don't educate yourselves, really you're at a higher risk of regain. And so the important things to do is, if you are wanting to have bariatric surgery or in the process of it, is educating yourself while you're either post-op or pre-op or in the honeymoon phase, is educate yourself. So that way, while you're in these early stages of it, that when you're past that stage, you won't regain. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. There's going to be so much more that to learn here. If you have any questions, anything you want to know, please post in the comments below. And if I don't know, I'll find out for you. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless.